はもう死んでいる。
Every once in a while, a piece of art settles into culture in a way that feels slow at first, almost invisible in its arrival. At the beginning, it exists as surface impressions, characters and action, tone and individual moments. Nothing announces itself as important. It just exists and gets consumed. Over time, it starts to open up. Details that once felt small begin to carry weight. Certain expressions, pauses and decisions in character behavior, and visual choices begin to connect across different moments. Meaning expands with distance and return. With repeated exposure, new readings appear, different interpretations form depending on perspective and time. The work keeps offering additional angles without changing its original form. And at the same time, fragments of it begin to exist outside the original experience. Images, lines, and figures detach from context and remain recognizable on their own. They circulate in culture independently from full understanding of the story. And over time, the work becomes part of the background of pop culture. It remains present through recognition, reference, and repetition, even when the full narrative is not actively remembered. This kind of cultural presence is what developed around Fist of the North Star. Created by Baronson and Tetsuo Hara, with visual influence connected to Mad Max 2. They take elements from post-apocalyptic visual design and survival storytelling, especially the aesthetic directions seen in films like Mad Max. From there, they build a different direction by adding martial arts mythology, emotional tragedy, and symbolic character roles. The story begins in a world after nuclear destruction. Civilization has collapsed and governments no longer exist. The regions are controlled by different warlords. Each territory develops its own rules based on power. Survival becomes the main structure that defines daily life. The landscape reflects this collapse. Deserts, ruins, scattered settlements, and mobile gangs create a world where stability does not exist in any permanent form. Two major fighting systems define the structure of conflict. Hokuto Shinken, the North Star style, focuses on the human body from the inside. It targets pressure points and creates internal damage that appears after a delay. The technique is precise and controlled. The main user is Kenshiro. Nanto Seiken, the South Star style, focuses on direct physical force. It uses cutting motion, speed, and visible destruction. The technique reflects personal ambition and outward expression of power. Both systems represent different ideas of strength. Hokuto is built around internal control and responsibility. Nanto is built around external force and individual will. At the center of Hokuto Shinken stands Ryuken. He trains multiple disciples, but only one can inherit the full technique. This creates constant pressure inside the group, since every student exists inside a system with a single future outcome. The main disciples include Kenshiro, Raoh, Toki, and Yagi. They grow under the same training system. Their relationship develops into a mixture of brotherhood, rivalry, and ideological conflict. Shin becomes the first major rupture in the story. His relationship with Kenshiro begins with friendship and shared history. Over time, his emotional attachment to Yuria grows into obsession. Yuria represents emotional stability and human connection inside a collapsing world. Shin turns that attachment into possession. He takes Yuria away from Kenshiro and replaces emotional connection with control. Kenshiro fights Shin and loses. That moment marks a turning point. Kenshiro receives scars across his chest. These scars represent the end of his earlier emotional state. The version of Kenshiro that still moved with personal attachment and emotional openness ends there. After this event, Kenshiro's behavior changes. He becomes quieter in expression and moves without explanation. His actions become direct and focused only on moments where suffering or violence appears in front of him. This change comes from loss. His identity shifts because of what was taken from him. From that point onward, Kenshiro functions as a steady presence inside a broken world. Raoh, he represents another direction. He believes strength should define leadership. His goal is to establish order using domination and force. Stability, in his view, comes from absolute control. Kenshiro, Shin, and Raoh represent three different reactions to the collapse of civilization. Shin acts from obsession and possession. Raoh acts from domination and control. And Kenshiro acts from protection and responsibility. By now, I've used a lot of story details from the original manga and anime series to fill in the blanks for you. The movie never spends much time describing the relationship between the disciples. It barely stops to explain why Shin hates Kenshiro, why Raoh chose conquest, or why Hokuto Shinken carries so much importance. And under normal circumstances, that should be a problem. But instead, it becomes part of the experience. It treats its world the same way ancient myths treat their heroes. We are dropped into a story that already feels old, and every character appears to have a history. Every scar suggests a previous battle. The 1986 film communicates with symbolism, archetypical story character writing, and a tense atmosphere. Curiosity fills the empty spaces, and that curiosity became one of the reasons so many Western fans kept returning to the film. They needed to know why these people hated each other. They wanted to understand where Hokuto Shinken came from. They wanted to understand why Kenshiro and Raoh felt connected, even when the movie rarely explained the details. The film invites the audience to step deeper into the world instead of explaining every corner of it. And once people started looking, they discovered that there was far more waiting underneath the surface. The rivalries were not random. The fighting styles carried ideas, and characters represented different answers to the same question. What should a person do with power? Raoh seeks domination and Shin seeks possession. Yagi seeks recognition and Rei seeks compassion. But Kenshiro accepts responsibility. The battles are physical confrontations, yet each fight is also a clash between different views of strength and philosophy. That level of craftsmanship is one reason the story survived long after many other action series disappeared. The influence of Matmech is real and easy to spot. Bronson and Tatsuya Hara openly admired the visual impact of George Miller's post-apocalyptic world. The deserts, the gangs, the leather, the improvised weapons, and ruined landscapes all carry traces of that inspiration. Looking back, it becomes clear why the film left such a strong impression on so many people. The action is part of the appeal, and the world is also part of the appeal. The unforgettable character design certainly helped, yet none of those things fully explain why people kept returning to it. What audiences found was a story that seemed larger than the time available to tell it. Relationships carried years of history. Rivals appeared with old wounds, old grudges, and old ambitions. Entire philosophies stood behind a single technique or a single confrontation. Most of those details remained unexplained in the film itself. Strangely enough, that absence became part of its strength. The movie trusted the audience to connect the pieces. Some people stopped at the spectacle. Others became curious about the manga, the television series, and the mythology surrounding Hokuto Shinken. Each step revealed another layer of thought behind the violence and the larger-than-life imagery. 4 decades later, people still argue about Kenshiro, Raoh, Shin, and the meaning of their choices. Very few action films inspire that kind of discussion after so much time has passed. And perhaps that is why when the final battle ends, the conversation continues.